I've been here the whole time. Yeah, this year I'm going to do reviews of Game Changer episode by episode. I was about to say as it comes out, not quite, probably a little bit after a week after each new episode, because I want to wait for the behind the scenes just in case anything I feel like bringing up turns out to be addressed in some way behind the scenes. Because if I don't wait for that, then it means I'm going to get a ton of comments that are going to be all like, hey, would you do this thing? You said this, but we know it's this. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know it when I said it. So I'm just trying to avoid that whole situation. Plus, also, I watched these with my boyfriend, and for the times that we're able to get together, it's usually not right after the thing is available. Anyways, season premiere for season 8, Don't Wake Standards and Practices. They went big right off the bat. Like the fact that there's this giant board on the floor and this massive puppet that they have awoken standards and practices and now get sent back to the beginning. It's ambitious. I will give it that. There's definitely a fair few things in here that I really like. First of all, loved Phil. Phil was not addressed in the behind the scenes, so I'm just going to assume that he actually was genuine and not a plant. I know a lot of times when they've had stuff like that gets shot outside the studio, they usually and frequently use plant actors to avoid any potential issues of somebody not wanting to be filmed or not agreeing to a release or whatever. But they didn't bring any of that up. But regardless of whether or not he was a plant or was legitimate, Phil was great. I loved Phil. I think they had a great contestant lineup for this. You have Allie, who enjoys sort of pushing buttons where they can and they think they can get away with it. You have Jeremy, who's just chaos. And then you have Lou, who, depending on his mood, might try and walk the line or might just go, heck with it, and then cartwheel or try to cartwheel straight over that line. So I think this was a good lineup of characters to have. And I think I also want to highlight bringing back Phoenix from the Grant O'Brien Bachelor episode, because Phoenix is a professional adult performer, and also bringing back Two Straps, and it was confirmed in the making of legitimately having Two Straps there as an intimacy coordinator. Like, that was for real. It wasn't a bit, and that's great. I love that they modeled consent straight up just in the show, having her say straight out, like, well, here's the things that are definitely not happening. And then while we don't hear the conversation that happens between Jeremy, Phoenix, and Two Straps, we see that they're off having it. So, like, everything that happens after that conversation was agreed to. That's great, honestly. Like, just as a thing to have more public and open, like, this is what an intimacy coordinator looks like. Oh, yeah, that seems like a good idea. I haven't talked about the lawyers yet. So obviously I'm aware of Devin from the Legal Eagle YouTube channel. The other two are not YouTubers, so I wasn't aware of them. There's no reason why I should have been. I have a couple of notes about this episode. It's good. And like, I get why it's the premiere episode for the size and scope and the ambition of it, like especially with the props and the build and all that. I have a couple of notes. And one is, admittedly, it's not a big deal. Neither is a big deal, really. But one of them is like, I think that's just something that comes off not quite how you intended. And another thing that, like, here's a tweak I would have made. For the first one, whether they intended this to be the case or not, they have Devin up there with these two women, and they've got them all effectively in the same suit, same color suit, white shirt, same tie. I don't know if it jumped out to anybody else that the women's ties and collars didn't look quite right. Now, I am not positive as to whether this was a case of these were women's button-up blouses, which are not really designed to have a tie on them, or if it was just nowhere near as tailored as Devin's. But given that the behind the scenes confirms that Devin was the first one they booked because they had him in mind, and the outfit they had him in, while I'm not positive it's something he's worn on his YouTube channel, it's certainly in the vein of stuff that I've seen him wear on his YouTube channel. Whether or not they meant it to or not, it has the energy of, we had this guy we wanted, and we made these two women also dress like him. like it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like it's a vibe that ruins the show, but it was something that I noticed. I'm like, like that's an unforced error. That's there because you made a choice that I don't think I would have made. Here's the thing that I personally would have tweaked, because while I think the highlights of this are quite high, like I especially love Allie with with the drug PSA. I thought that was great, and I really liked Jeremy with the spanking scene with Phoenix, and I love Lou's stuff with Phil. Like, there's great stuff spread throughout. I feel like there were two things holding it back from being all that it could have been. The first is, you could tell because of the nature of the game, they couldn't really cut any whole segment. I mean, if they absolutely had to, they would have found a way to do that and probably put up a card that says, we can't show you the next bit because even our actual lawyers, not our TV lawyers, said don't air that. But I'm sure they would have found a workaround. But like structurally, unless something goes that far, they can't really remove any one section, because then the player is at the place on the board the viewer last saw them. So they're kind of stuck with everything, and you can tell because there's a couple of segments where they have the players like take a fair amount of time to go do something, whether it's Lou going out to get Phil, which I think is the most defensible, or whether it's sitting down to, like write a thing, or Jeremy like coming up with the new Coca-Cola logo. And they have to kind of do a time lapse, and I kind of felt the weight of that time, even though they skipped over it. I felt like there should have been a minute-long timer for those sections. I think that would have helped, because even though technically the show as aired skips over it, something in the back of my head was like, yeah, but the folks in the studio had to sit and wait through that. And maybe that's just me. But the other thing that I would tweak, while I don't think the lawyer conceit is bad, I wouldn't have had it be three lawyers. I would have had it be the producers, actually the same ones that they had Jeremy harass. Here's why. I think the concept and the conceit of the lawyers is really good, but I think in practice, because none of the cast knows these people, they're kind of rolling the dice on what they will or they won't respond to. Now, you could argue that that's a feature, not a bug, because they don't necessarily know where the lines are. And I'm not going to disagree, but I personally think we might have gotten slightly more heightened reaction out of them seeing if they can disturb or unsettle people who they actually know and are familiar with, and maybe know the buttons of a little bit better. Like, I'm thinking back to things like when Brennan was told to upset a producer. Actually, like the whole cast was told to upset a producer, and I think it was the second Sam Says, and like Brennan goes around and coughs because it was still during COVID precautions, and he goes around and coughs, and he's like, now that was an audible gasp. And I liked that notion that it was kind of more than just do something that would upset a producer. Like, they knew these people. Like Lou's thing that he did that time of unscrewing the light bulb was like, yeah, he knows that's going to very specifically tick somebody off. Or even Jeremy, like getting in Paul Robolino's, or Paul Referino in the roulette episode, getting in his face and like having that dynamic where you can sense there's a little bit more of a history between these people because they already know each other. I feel like that would have made it a little bit better than what we get from having the three strangers. Now, I think having strangers in as guests can work. It worked in stuff like Battle Royale, but you'll notice all the guest judges only judged one single segment. So it was like a fresh shuffle and a clean slate. Like, oh, well, here's somebody else we don't know exactly what they're looking for. And so you kept that freshness. Whereas here, it felt like by the tail end, the competitors, the players were getting to know these lawyers just enough that that sense of we'll just throw anything at the wall was kind of starting to fade. And we didn't have that sense of like, I know what'll get you, which I don't know, I think might have worked better. I also could be completely wrong about that. I'm not going to do this kind of pitch of like how I tweak the game every time, but if the thought occurs to me, I might. I have saved my favorite gag for the end, because while I spent a little bit of time being not exactly critical, but like small notes, little tweaks, I want to end on my favorite thing, which was because like this bit, which I cannot repeat verbatim, but the bit of Lou saying like, "Oh, Phil said this to me." And I was shocked, but I wanted to be cool about it. So I'm like, yeah, everybody here calls me that. And then all three of those lawyers said that to me. And like initially just the reaction from everybody, the fact that he busted out because of that. And then it's the cancel cam, which is an established mechanic by this point. And Allie points out like, boy, sure is messed up. They made you apologize for that. That was good. Like every step of that bit was gold. That was awesome. It's like, I know I have my tweaks and my little notes. This is good. And I'm really happy to have a new season. And I'm excited to see what's next. Game Changer, it's back. Don't wake standards and practices. What'd you think of this particular episode? Whatever your thoughts might be, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. They'll help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Snark Shark, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twylord, Tracy Scrabbit, Paul Barabajoggle, Magdalena, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Additionally, to thank some folks from the lower tiers of support: Lee and Andy, Gavin Hinden, and I Am Orcus. We have some new friends. We have Peppercorn and where'd the other one go? Where'd you go? Coriander has gone behind my head. They are very young and they haven't been integrated with the other rats yet, but soon. Okay, yes. Maybe you weren't quite camera ready.